All right, hello everyone, and welcome to an episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy. And for my very special guest today, here is none other than Kathy from the channel Nerdy Kathi. Hello, Kathy, how are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be on your channel,
Well,
Philip.
the honor is mine. The honor is mine. And I'm excited to chat with you because we have quite a few series in common that we are fans of. And you are in the midst of my very favorite series of all time, which is the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And I'm also a
Mm.
huge fan of the greater Malazan, just all the stuff by both Erickson and Esselmont. But I think a lot of people have been it's been a lot of fun for a lot of people to follow your Malazan journey over the months that you've been reading it.
Oh, that's
And we,
very flattering. I didn't realize. I just
oh
have
yeah,
been loving the book so much that I've just wanted to talk about them.
yeah. Well, that's great. We'll be doing that, I'm sure, today. But there are other series that we have in common, some that you're further along in than I am, like Dungeon Crawler Carl, for example.
I was so surprised to see that you like that because it's really polarizing, this series. It seems
Oh,
that some people love it and some people really, really hate it. I would have thought you may come down on the not liking it, but I'm very pleased that you're liking it. I think that it's underestimated. People assume being lit RPG that it is simply fluff,
yeah,
and I don't think that's quite accurate.
I
And
agree
especially
with you.
having read six of the books,
So
yeah,
you've
I
read
think
six. Wow.
I've read six.
So
Yeah.
I've only listened to the audiobook for the first book, and what a
Mm.
talented audiobook narrator. That's
Oh, yeah.
just amazing. And I actually was listening to that audiobook and I thought there was someone else doing some of the
Yeah.
other voices, and there's no way this is the same person doing all these voices. And I looked it
Yeah.
up because I couldn't believe it. And sure enough, it's the same person doing all those voices.
Jeff
Jeff
Hayes.
Hayes is so
Yeah.
talented.
He's very
So
talented.
it was just fun for that, but also there is depth to this. I think that and you're much further along, obviously, but I've heard from a couple people when I mentioned, hey, I think there's some real thematic stuff in here. There's some social, critique going on here, very
Commentary.
timely stuff that continues in the series. Hearing. Is that
I
true?
think I think the first book it just touches on it very briefly,
Ah,
really, in comparison to the others, but it's further developed with each book. And it's a major part of the story
ah,
is the commentary on the media, the use
yeah,
of media for
yeah.
entertainment,
Hmm.
the social structure, finance, or wealth. There are quite a few themes that the books deal with,
Ah,
but you just wouldn't think so when you think that it's a lit RPG where there is awards and new achievements that Carl is constantly being given, and
yeah,
you think, oh, well, this is just a game, but it's so much more than that.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people underestimate the series. It's definitely worth reading. And I'm not going to say it isn't fun. And Jeff Hayes, yeah, I mean, I like physically reading, but the audio has been so good that I've actually just been listening to all the audios, and he does a wonderful job at capturing the characters, especially Donut.
Oh my goodness, yeah, his
Yeah.
donut voice is precious.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really something how it just that it is a series that has caught a lot of people, and I'm not a fan of lit RPG. I've bounced off pretty
Same.
hard a couple other attempts at lit RPG. Left me feeling what if I want to play a video game, I'll just go play a video game. I don't want it in a book.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I love how the Matt Dinniman has woven the lit RPG aspects of it into the rest, like into his character work and into the
Yeah.
social commentary, and it actually elevates it in a way to me. And I don't know how common that is because I haven't read much lit RPG. How about you? Are you a lit RPG fan in any way, shape?
No, this is my first.
Is
This
it?
is my
Okay.
first.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have thought I would like it either. To
Yeah.
be honest, I think it won't appeal to everyone.
Right.
Some of the achievements and
Yeah.
all that part or aspect of the book, many people won't like, but that does drop off as you proceed through the series.
Okay.
It's not as well, I don't think there was as much of it in the later books as there is in the beginning. It's more to set the scene and
Okay.
show you how this world operates. But you're right, he does interweave the social commentary in, especially the computer, the computer's, delivery of the actual awards or achievements.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's my
Oh,
dog in the background.
perfectly fine. I love dogs, so don't even apologize. So,
She's very naughty. She's still a puppy. She's only
oh,
2. Yeah,
oh,
just turned 2, but she's very naughty at the moment. Yeah.
she's doing her
Anyway.
job. She's doing her job.
Yeah, that's true.
Donut would not appreciate her, I'm sure. If
No, donut wouldn't at all. But this is another thing that's so good about this series is the characters. I
Hmm.
mean, you would assume that Dungeon Crawler is quite superficial, but the character work is actually really good. And the longer you proceed through the series, the more you see that, the more you see the depth to Carl. Donut, even. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but, by saying anything I shouldn't, this one caught me by surprise. And it's become one of my favorite series of this year, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know where it'll stand in the test of time, but
Wow.
I'm loving it. And my brother, I got him onto it and I spoke to him yesterday, and he's actually up to the final book and he's been loving it as well.
Oh,
Mm,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
mm.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. It just we need some laughs in our lives too sometimes.
Yes.
It's a good
Yeah,
series for that. It really is.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I have so many ahead of me. I think I'm just gonna audiobook all of them
Mm,
because I'm blown away by how talented Jeff Hayes is.
yeah.
And I'm new like you to audiobooks. I'm a
Mm,
relative newbie, and I know that you haven't been listening to audiobooks all that long, probably longer than I have, but not all that long.
1 year.
Okay,
That's all.
that's it.
Just a
Okay,
year. I started last year, but
yeah,
I only listened to maybe a handful last year. I've been listening to a few more this year, but I'm still very new to audiobooks
yeah.
as well.
So
Yeah.
what would you like to say about how audiobook listening has enhanced or what has it done for your reading life or your story engagement with stories? Because this is something I started to think about as someone who, for years, I tried audiobooks a couple times and it just couldn't. I just thought I kept getting distracted. I kept getting,
Yes.
and I would rewind, and I was
Yeah.
a mess. And I was like, no, I just don't think it's for me. But then my friend Alan from the Library of Alexandria
Mm.
narrated my first book as an audiobook, and I loved it. And even though I knew the story, and probably because I knew the story, I wasn't worried about missing something. And I think that was the key for me.
Mm.
The key for me was to be like, relax. I'm not worried about missing anything. I don't have to constantly rewind to catch.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me try doing other stories that I'm really familiar with. So I did Lord of the Rings next because I've read it a million times, and I did Andy Serkis's narration, which is tremendous, and it worked for me. And I was like, yes, I think I can do it. From there, I've been exploring more and more. But for you, what has audiobook narration added to your engagement with stories?
I think, like you, I really struggled to not be distracted when I
Uh-huh.
listened to audiobooks.
Yeah.
And initially I just listened to them on a speaker and I that just didn't work. My mind kept wandering and I didn't take in anything. But somebody recommended I use headphones.
Uh-huh.
And I found that really changed everything because I had them going straight into my ears and hopefully straight into my brain. And I just wasn't rewinding as often because I found I was taking it in.
Huh.
There are times you get distracted, but overall, I've really loved feeling immersed just
Mm.
by having the headphones on. In a way, it felt more intimate, which is
Okay.
so strange because I'm a physical reader. I love my physical books,
Me too.
but it's a different experience
Yeah.
listening to an audiobook, having your brain process it that way. And in some ways, it made it richer. I listened to horror last year,
Okay.
James Herbert, because I love horror.
Uh-huh.
And that was like tense, and you'd be on the edge of your seat, and more so than a book, because I don't get tense when I'm reading a book.
Okay.
Or so I found that it was more similar to my experience in watching a film, because I love films. I am a big film buff, and I found that listening to a horror felt very similar to watching a film, in that, you're waiting to see what's going to happen,
Huh.
because it depends also on the narrator, and there are better ones than others. I listened to Alan's narration of The Way of Idan, and I loved it. He
He was,
did such a
yeah.
wonderful job by making all of the characters different. So
Mm.
when you listen to them, they felt distinctive. And I was a bit worried that, being the first time, because I hadn't read your book physically,
Uh-huh.
I worried that perhaps I won't take it in as well. But I just love the narration so much that I found I was taking it in.
I'm
There
so
are
glad.
times you might have to rewind a little, and I do sometimes, but nowhere near as often as I thought. And it just means that I'm able to enjoy books in a different way, not just physically,
Yeah.
that I can do it when I'm traveling to and from places, or if I'm doing something else, if I want to. I'm a knitter, you see, and I find I can't read a physical book as I'm knitting, but I can listen to an audiobook as I knit. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just added more reading time. Like, I don't need that really, but it just means I get to read even more and experience books in a different way,
Yeah.
because John, is it Jeff Hayes is fantastic narrator. I just listened to David Copperfield by Richard Armitage,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
He's a great actor. Yeah.
yes, I love him as an actor, but it's also a wonderful narration
He's the one
that
who
he did.
played Thorin in the Hobbit films, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. He also played the sheriff, I think, or guy from the Robin Hood TV show
Oh,
many
okay.
years ago. Yeah, the English one. I can't remember who he played now, but I thought he was the sheriff. Perhaps I'm wrong.
Oh,
I remember him from that, actually, before I saw him in The Hobbit. But
oh.
yeah, his narration was fantastic.
I would
And I
imagine. He has
think
a rich voice. Yeah.
very rich. And he really did make me feel like I was listening again to different people rather than just the one person.
Huh.
And it does boil down to a good narrator, I think, when it comes to audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something else you add to your reading experience, right? So I'm glad that you are enjoying them.
I am too. It has added a new dimension to my engagement with stories. I'm still not quite at the point where I think if I were starting a really complex, a slightly more, like I wouldn't listen to Wars of Light and Shadow book by Jenny Wirtz on audiobook.
Mm,
I wouldn't, at least for the first time. Maybe on a reread, I might.
yeah,
The first time, I need that physical book so I can reread those beautiful sentences. And
yes.
yeah, I don't see myself quite ready for that level yet. But
Same,
I'm
same.
I'm
Yeah.
doing things that I didn't think I could do already, which is I have listened to a couple books that I hadn't read previously. I thought I was just only going to read listen to. I did after Lord of the Rings. I did the first Law trilogy, which I'd already read twice by Joe Abercrombie, and that was great. And Stephen Pacey is another brilliant audiobook narrator, just fantastic. I don't know if you've listened to him yet or not, but
I don't think so. No,
okay,
I haven't listened to that many really.
okay,
I'm
yeah,
I've listened to maybe not even a dozen, not even
okay,
10. I'm
okay.
not sure how many altogether, but I'm still very new to audiobooks as
Yeah,
well.
you're still ahead of me.
Yeah, it's I will listen. I have heard of Stephen Pacey. A lot of people have mentioned that he's a really good narrator.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to try him. I'd like to listen to the Discworld books, or
Oh,
at least one, because I love the Discworld books, and people rave about the audiobooks as well, but I haven't got around to it yet.
they would be fun to narrate. I don't know who the narrator is, but I would imagine they would be a fun one
Different
for the
one.
narrator. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bill Nye is the voice for death. That's what
Oh,
I've heard.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can't remember who does the others, but the
Okay.
other voices, but I think it's an ensemble
Oh,
for the
wow.
digital books.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Wow. So yeah, I'm so glad I've added this dimension to my engagement with stories, and I feel like you said, I can do it while I'm driving somewhere
Mm.
or washing the dishes or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Yeah, I'm so glad. And I do worry that I'm not absorbing the story as much as I would be if I were reading a book. Like if I read it
Yeah.
physically, I'm probably better prepared for a discussion on it than if I listen to the audiobook. I feel like it's not entering my brain as deeply. I don't know. That's how I feel. So somebody
I
who's
felt that. I
you
felt
do?
the
Okay.
same.
Okay.
Initially, I did. Like when I first started, I thought, am I really taking it in? Because I
Uh-huh.
think when I'm reading it, I'm taking it in a different way. But
Yeah.
the more I've listened, I realize that I do. There are sometimes sections where I feel perhaps I need to go back and re listen, just like you have to reread a passage sometimes in a book. You
True.
know,
Yeah.
perhaps you got distracted for one moment and you just skimmed it rather than actually taking it in. So
Yeah.
I think it's like anything, just practice.
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah.
more we practice with it, we'll realize that, okay, yeah, I did take that in, or no, I didn't. So I have to rewind and re-listen.
Yeah.
But I don't feel I didn't take in any of the books that I read. I don't
Okay.
feel that my comprehension of them is less because I listen to it rather than reading it. I
Okay.
could be wrong, of course. How do you judge something like
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
But I do feel that no, the books that I listened to, I understood. Now, listening to them at higher speed, that might play a different.
I'm not even going there
Yeah,
myself. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I keep it
Same. I
on the standard speed. Yeah. So, yeah.
yeah.
It's like when I was driving on the Autobahn in Germany, and I'm just this little American guy puttering along, and all the cars are going veer, 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 and that's pretty much other people listening to audiobooks, and here's me
Yeah.
listening to audiobooks.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just worry if you're not used to it. You think, what if I'm not taking it in? It's
Yeah.
different viewing it with my eyes, but it's just another way to engage with stories, as you said, to
Yeah.
enjoy stories.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I love movies. It's another way for me to engage with stories.
I feel
So,
like even
yeah.
it might even be something in between reading a book and watching a movie, because you are listening to a performance when you're listening
Yes,
to an audio. It is someone's interpretation of the story. And
exactly.
even if, like, say, Alan narrated my book, he didn't do the voices the way I imagined them, but he did a
Mm,
brilliant job, and it was fun, and it was someone's interpretation of those
yes,
characters and those scenes and the whole book. And I think that's a really fun aspect of it as well, is that you're getting someone's performance and interpretation of the story. That
that's
it
true.
matters. The way you put a certain inflection on even an individual word can change the whole meaning of a sentence.
I
So
agree with that. Yeah, it's true. It is a performance. It is again, it's different to physically reading a
mm,
book
yeah.
where well, sometimes I actually narrate the books as I'm reading them. If it's a particularly great scene or there's a sentence by one of my favorite characters, I might say it aloud because it is just so good and I want to hear it
Yeah.
as well. And so I'm performing that as well when I do it. But generally, in your own head, when you're taking in a book, you do imagine how the characters sound. I think, well, I'm assuming, or maybe that's just me, but I think that this is what I think the characters are saying, and this is how they're saying it, or this is what they're, you know, interpreting with what's happened. Regardless, it's interacting with any books, I think, is such an individual thing,
Mm.
which is why it always surprises me that people get upset if you don't like their favorite books or they don't like yours, because we're shaped by our own experiences in life, in the kind of personality we are, what things we like, what things we don't like. So we can all read the exact same book and take away different experiences or different thoughts about that book. It doesn't make anyone right or wrong. It just means that we all have our own interpretation of what we've read or seen or listened to.
I
Yeah.
agree with you entirely. And just as further evidence of this, a lot depends on when in your life you engage with a
Yes.
book, because you may not
Yes.
really gel with it at a certain point, but then 10, 20, 30 years later, you love it, and
So
or
true.
the reverse, you loved it when you were younger and you're older and you realize, oh, that was, yeah, okay, I loved it when I was younger, but it's not quite doing it for me now in the same way.
Yes. Our
Because
tastes change.
we're not the same person, from
Yes.
year to year, and certainly not from decade to decade. We're not the same
Yes.
person. So that different person might enjoy it more down the line, you know. Um,
Very true.
yeah, so
Yeah, no, I agree with this.
yeah.
I mean, I'm also older. I'm 61. So for
Uh-huh.
me, I've been reading for a very, very, very long time. And I know that my taste from when I was a teenager has definitely changed to
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Or even 10 years ago, my tastes have changed or developed. Urban fantasy was never something I thought I would like,
Hmm.
and I'm really loving it at the moment.
Huh.
So, and that's just one example, let alone lit RPG. If you had asked me
Yeah,
before I started Dungeon Crawler, I would have said, no, no, I don't think I'd like that. And yet I did. So
yeah,
now I'm more open to trying more lit RPG to see if I will like that as well.
yeah.
I don't know
It's
if
an
I
adventure.
will. Yeah, it's an adventure, but that's the thing. We do change with time.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned urban fantasy. So I haven't read a ton of urban fantasy.
Me either.
Just finished book 8 of the Dresden Files, which is maybe the most well-known urban fantasy. But would you have a couple of recommendations for me? What's an urban fantasy series that you have been reading and engaging with and enjoying that you'd like to recommend to me?
Oh, other than the Dresden Files, because I adore the Dresden Files, I'm rereading them at the moment.
Oh, no
There's a
kidding.
new
Okay.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new book coming out in January, so I'm rereading it. But
Oh, how
it is one
exciting.
of my favorites. I love the series personally. I
I
really
mostly
like.
love it. I don't love sometimes when Harry gets a little weird when he's looking at women in a certain way,
Yeah.
particularly teenage girls. But I do love Harry, and I'm hoping he will mature, and I'm rooting for him. So
It's, I think a lot of people seem to forget that we are reading Harry's internal monologue.
right, right,
And in my experience, men do gaze at women. I
yeah,
go out in the street, I see it all the time. And I think that we need to forgive, or not even forgive, I don't think anyone's internal thoughts are always open to scrutiny. I
right,
think that given he is thinking in his own head about certain things, we
yeah,
may not like it, we may not approve, and that is fine. But
right.
I also think it's realistic.
Hmm.
And something I do want is flawed characters. I don't want perfect characters because it's not true to life.
Yeah,
So, whilst I appreciate that people may not like the male gaze, as they say in relation to Harry, I think it's true to life, and
yeah,
I forgive him because it's his internal thoughts. If
yeah.
he was acting out on that, that would be a different story. But
Hmm.
regardless, I love the Dresden Files. It's one of my favorite series because I love the character of Harry and
Yeah.
I am a very character driven reader,
Yeah.
but I haven't had a lot of success finding great urban fantasy. I've tried a few. I loved the Alex Averi series
Okay.
by Benedict Jacker,
Okay.
a very, very flawed, I'm not even going to call him hero,
Huh.
but that's what made it fascinating. And it's set in England.
Oh,
I don't
no.
want to say much more because I don't want to spoil it, but he is also a magician in the modern day world, but in England.
Okay.
Yeah. But that is worth trying. And I've tried a couple of others like the Ben Aronovich Rivers of London. I
Right.
didn't like that one personally,
Okay. Okay.
but I read 3 or 4 of those.
Hmm.
So I don't know that many, but I'm open to them because it's a genre that I realize I actually do enjoy it. I
Huh.
seem to be heading away from the traditional fantasy, I
Uh-huh.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why Malazan is working so well for me because I'm
Yeah.
just love Malazan so much. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to spend some time on Malazan for sure. And we could do that now, or we could do it after we do our standard question. Which would you like to do first? My
Let's do the standard question and we
okay.
can move on from there. Yeah.
All right. Then in that case, Kathy, on the going on the somewhat flawed theory, but it's a theory that you are what you read. But, what have been some of the formative stories of your life? What are some of the milestones along the way that have gone into the person you are today? Going back as far as you like and
Mhm.
discussing them in as much detail as you like, and just which are the stories that you would say, yeah, if you want to know who I am, here are some of the books you should read, you know?
When I thought about your question, because I have watched a few of your episodes on this, I thought, I don't know if I want to be known as I am what I read because I've read a lot of rubbish over the years. I really have when I was young,
I mean,
like
we
a
all
teen.
do. Yeah.
Well, I read so much romance and I thought, but that's
Uh-huh.
not, I don't know if that shaped me as I am. It was a part of my reading. It was thing that I enjoyed at the time because it was quick and easy,
Uh-huh.
etc. But
Yeah.
that's not all I read. I think I was exploring a lot of genres when I was very young because I
Yeah.
didn't know what I liked, of course, because how would you know at 12 or 13? So you read anything and anything that appeals to you. So I think what appealed to me the most and probably did shape me as a reader and as a person was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
actually, it was my brother's school book and I had run out of things to read at home. So I started reading his school books
Okay.
and I loved that story. I
Huh.
loved the sense of justice
Mm.
that Atticus Finch has.
Yeah.
I loved this exploration by these innocent children as to trying to comprehend why is there prejudice. What doesn't matter the color of someone's skin,
Mm.
and that sometimes you require someone to stand up for those who can't. That just because people or a majority may believe one thing doesn't mean that we should all, I don't know how to describe this more because it was so profoundly
Yeah.
impactful on me.
Sounds like
But
it. Yeah.
it's more that people should stand up, even if you are in a minority. To
Mm.
do the right thing, we should stand up. And I think that's always resonated with me because I always had a very strong sense of fair play, of justice. And I thought, this is a character I really admire. And this is what we should all be like. We shouldn't just agree with the mob because it's easier. We should stand up for the right thing. And what Atticus did was the right thing. So I loved that book.
Mm.
And I realized that this is perhaps something I want to do with my life. So it had a huge impact on me. And
Huh.
it helped me realize what kind of books or stories I wanted to read. And that was something with a bit more substance. So that was one very impactful book. Others would be things like Agatha Christie. And I'm talking about when I was very young now.
Yeah.
I loved them because they were just fun and I could never guess or very rarely guess who
Huh.
the murderer was. And I love books that can play with your perceptions. You think, oh, of course, she gives me all the clues. I can find out who this murderer is. And she would always stump me when I was younger anyway. And I realized I like puzzles as well. So
Mhm.
it does teach you certain things about yourself, the types of books that you are drawn to.
True.
But when I was young, I didn't like fantasy.
Huh.
And
Okay.
no, no, the only one I read was the Narnia series.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved that. But I didn't read fantasy or really start reading fantasy till my mid to late 20s.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what did that? What made you, what was the book or series that said, well, maybe I am a fantasy reader?
Well, honestly, I think it's when you're young, you try a lot of different genres. And during my 20s, I was reading anything and everything, a whole host of different types of books, trying to find what I did like. I like legal thrillers, I like murder mysteries, didn't like thrillers, didn't like, I liked horror, and I liked some historical fiction, but I found that wasn't really my thing.
Huh.
And then somebody recommended I read the Timothy Zahn, and this isn't fantasy even, Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy,
Oh,
which
okay. Okay.
was set 5 years after the original Star Wars films. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So I thought, okay, I'll read them. And I loved them so much
Hmm.
that I wanted something similar. And they're not really science fiction as much as space opera. So,
Right.
I
With
mean,
actually, you could even argue that it's got heavy fantasy elements, let's say.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Hero's
well,
journey and
Jedi's.
I mean swords glow and they call them lightsabers,
Yes,
but and there's they call the magic the force, and
that's right.
but pretty much it's fantasy in a way. I mean, I'm a huge
Yeah.
I grew the first movie I can remember watching actually in a theater was Star Wars in
Oh,
1977. Yeah. So yeah, I grew up a big fan of the original movie
yeah.
trilogy. So yeah, I think if you do like Star Wars, there's a good chance you're gonna like fantasy because it comes from a lot of the same roots, really.
Yes,
But I won't argue with people who insist that it's science fiction or whatever. But I feel like it's really kind of at its heart, superficially you could say it's science fiction, but at its heart, really, it's more fantasy to me.
I
But
agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah, I do. I do think that it's much more fantastical rather than science fiction,
yeah,
or some people call it space opera.
yeah, yeah.
But
But George Lucas was actually a huge fan of Joseph Campbell, and he very intentionally followed the hero's journey in the story of, say, Luke Skywalker,
mm,
that sort of thing. He gave him the pretty much you can trade, put it onto Campbell's pattern that he had for the hero's journey, and it'll track on there pretty well. But that's cool. Yeah, Star Wars. I love it. So,
well,
so
that's how it started. From there, I was recommended certain things. I started with David Eddings,
aha.
which was a lot of fun. I thought they were hilarious and I thoroughly enjoyed those. And then I read Raymond Feist,
Oh yes, magician.
the
Yeah.
Riff War saga. I loved that, or at least the original trilogy. And then somebody recommended Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time to me in
Okay.
a bookshop because I was, raiding the very small fantasy section back
Yeah.
then,
So we're in the
and
90s now. Yeah.
very different now. I mean, you go and it's a huge section, but
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, when I started reading fantasy, there was not much.
Yeah.
And there was no internet, remember? So it
Yeah.
wasn't like you got lots of recommendations. It was
True.
whatever was in the bookshops or in the libraries. And the library didn't have a massive fantasy collection. So whenever I did find something that sounded interesting, I would buy it and try it.
Wow.
But Jordan, yeah, The Wheel of Time became my favorite series. And I would wait a year for the next book and the next book and the next book until it was finished.
Wow.
But that's when I really, or my love for fantasy really solidified is with The Wheel of
Wheel
Time.
of
I
Time.
realized
Okay.
the scope that
Yeah.
you could have with fantasy. I realized how much you could explore human nature through fantastical settings, that just
Yeah.
because it's set in a fictional world doesn't mean you can't explore things like motivations or human frailty, weakness, or strengths.
Yeah.
And I was originally drawn very much to heroic fantasy, and
Uh-huh.
I still am a little. I do have a soft spot for
Uh,
heroic figures. So I
yeah.
think that was one of the reasons I loved The Wheel of Time and why I love Harry Dresden, because I think he is also a very heroic figure.
Yes.
But I
And
also
go ahead.
go
I'm
on.
sorry.
No, 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 go on.
I was just thinking that another thing they have in common is with Harry and the major characters in Wheel of Time, there's also trauma. And
Yes.
it seems to me that it's actually an advantage of fantasy that it has the psychic distance, that it's not our world, that you can explore trauma in that way in a safer place than, let's say, a story set in our world in a place that is in turmoil where there's a lot of trauma, that you can work out those things a little bit more safely, I guess, in those settings. So
And
when we're going, oh, I mean, Harry clearly has gone through the ringer, and I'm only on book 8, and I still think there's a lot of I'm going to find out about this poor guy and his past, and
mm,
so that's one of the reasons I keep rooting for him, even though I'm not a fan of the way he looks at women and teenage girls and everything else. But as you say, that's his sort of male brain doing
mm.
what most male brains do, at least, but it's definitely, I think these are series, and fantasy in general, where we do see a lot of suffering, we see a lot of pain, we see a lot of trauma, and it's Malazan as well. I mean, there's just
Oh
all
my God,
kinds,
yes.
yeah, some
Yeah, I
serious
think
stuff.
Malazan is the epitome of suffering
Or Realm of
personally.
the Elderlings as well by Robin Hobb. I mean, there's another
I
one.
haven't read that.
Oh, you haven't yet? Okay, wow.
I'm not a fan of Robin Hobb.
Oh no.
Yes, I'm sorry. There's a couple of series that we're not, yeah, in agreement on, and one of them is, well, I've tried two of her series. I've DNF'd two in the middle because I just wasn't enjoying her writing,
Okay.
wasn't enjoying her stories. So I
But
don't
not
think
Realm of the Elderlings. You didn't read that yet.
I
Oh,
tried Assassin's
you
Apprentice
did.
many
Okay.
years ago,
Yeah.
didn't like that and stopped reading it. And I tried recently because I thought it's been so long, maybe my tastes have changed.
Uh-huh.
I cannot get past the middle part of Ships of Magic, the
Okay.
first. So
So it's not,
I,
do you think it's the slow burn element of that, or is there something in particular about her writing, or
I
because
do think it's partly that. I thought it was, I found that one just, well, I remember Ships of Magic better than I do Assassin's Apprentice because that was many years ago.
okay,
All I recall about that is I found Fitz very boring and I found the pace glacial. And
yes,
I was like, it needs to go. It's really slow and I need a bit more than this. So,
okay,
but with Ships of Magic, I just find all the characters are horrible. I don't like anyone.
oh
And
God.
because I am halfway through, I expected to like one person, and I don't like anyone except the ship, the damaged ship.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only one I like. I do like her world building. I thought this was a fascinating idea, but I got to the middle and I thought, I can't bear anyone and I don't like anyone. And I am such a character driven reader. I thought,
Uh-huh.
I think I need to like someone. I know she's very popular,
Yeah.
but she doesn't appeal to me. And I think it's the pace and I think it's the characters
Yeah.
don't appeal to me. I know that there is a lot of people talk about her great character work. I'm not going to find out.
You have to get to the end, yeah, to really
Yeah,
like
I'm not willing to put myself through more,
it.
of this series. But I
Well,
might try Assassin's Apprentice again and
oh,
see
okay.
if that one. I don't know. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll just have to agree to
Sorry.
disagree
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
on
don't.
on Realm of the Elderlings. We'll still be friends. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you. But look, the way I see it is we can't all like the same things. And
Yeah.
I don't know why people seem to take it personally if you don't like their favorite books.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not it's not a reflection on them. It's
No.
simply that we have personal preferences. It's like we can't all like the same color. I like green, somebody likes pink. What does it matter? It doesn't really matter.
Well, it would
As long
also
as
be
you,
boring if we all like the same things,
that's
right?
what I always thought.
Yeah.
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 But unfortunately, Robin Hobb isn't
Yeah.
somebody I think I'm ever going to love. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to get it off my chest. I don't like Tolkien either.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry, but it's true. I tried Tolkien and
Oh,
yeah,
this is turning into a confession now.
yes, I'm really sorry.
No, it's
It's
okay.
in the fantasy community,
Uh-huh.
confessing to not liking Tolkien is like,
Mm, I don't think you're alone. I think there,
no,
yeah,
no, there are some,
yeah.
but I love the films. I thought the films
Oh,
were
you do? Okay,
wonderful.
okay.
Yeah, I read them before. I wanted to see, well, I like to read before I watch something because if I've watched it, I won't read the books. And I read the books and I slogged through them. I found it so, yeah, I was very frustrated with the books.
Uh-huh.
And
Not a Tom Bombadil fan.
I don't even remember him. I just
Okay.
remember that I was not enjoying the books and I really had to force myself to finish them. And when I watched the films, I thought this was a really good condensation of the books.
Yeah.
This was a good representation. I loved it. It was a little bit more modernized with the women, etc.
Yep.
Because that was something else I didn't like is so
Oh,
little representation of women.
fair enough. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the books just didn't appeal to me. And
Yeah.
I recognize their significance. It's just wasn't for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. All
But
right. Well, we'll still be friends. But
yeah,
yeah, no, it sounds like you have legitimate reasons for, I mean, and there's no way I don't think anyone could deny that the pacing is much slower in both Realm of the Elderlings and Lord of the Rings, and slower than most other fantasy these days. And you're absolutely right about the lack of women in the books, and that Jackson's adaptation is a great,
sorry.
no problem. It's a great example of how an adaptation takes an older story and repackages it for a more modern audience. In fact,
True.
you've
Yes.
got the quicker pacing, which is what I think more modern consumers of stories prefer, a faster pace than older.
Mm,
And also, it's more action oriented than the books. It's really much more action oriented. The films are rather than the books, and that's part of the pacing as well. And some they've even added a few silly, action moments with Legolas skateboarding on the shield and stuff like that.
I did like that, but I know it
Yeah.
was silly, but yeah, not realistic. I think it was also that Tolkien's story is very black and white.
Uh-huh.
There is a lot of nuance in the villain as such.
Uh-huh.
It's,
Well, in
good
Sauron,
against evil.
zero nuance in Sauron. He's just the big
Yes.
bad, Dark Lord.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Very,
And
very
whilst
good.
that is very common in fantasy,
Yeah.
I do enjoy those that have a little bit more ambiguity.
Uh-huh.
And perhaps at the time that I read it, which was about 10, 15 years into my journey, maybe a bit early, bit less, I thought, no, I need a bit more than this. I need a bit more than just black and white. I like those shades of gray in between.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Even though I do like heroic fantasy, I know it's a contradiction, right? But
Yeah.
we are contradictory. We can like two things that are opposite.
It's
And
true. Yeah.
I always wanted more nuance in the villains as well as the
Mm.
heroes. I wanted flawed characters and I wanted more women.
Yeah.
That was my biggest complaint with fantasy in the 90s is the lack of great female characters,
Yeah. Well,
fortunately.
hopefully we're rectifying that these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I made a point of looking for a lot more female authors.
Uh-huh.
And there weren't as many back then, but it's obviously been increasing since.
They're
And
there. They're there though. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot more now than there was back then.
Hmm.
But it wasn't even that. It was just, I mean, I have no objections with males having great female characters. It just
Uh-huh.
seemed there was a lack of those as well.
Sure.
And
Sure.
it was hard to find great female characters in fantasy anyway.
Yeah.
One of the best was the Empire series.
Uh-huh.
It
By
was
Jenny Wright
Raymond,
and Raymond Tyler.
yes,
Yeah.
and Raymond Weiss.
Yeah.
Because Weiss's series, his original, does not really have great female representation.
Yeah.
And then you read the Empire series and you think, now this is a great character,
Mm.
whether you like the main character or not. She was nuanced. She had depth to her. She was a strong character.
Yeah.
So I did love that series.
I'm 7 books into Jenny Wirtz's Wars of Light and Shadow, and I think it's incredible. I think it's
I've
really,
read those.
yeah. Oh, you've read those?
I am probably up to book 7, but it's been
Okay.
a long time. I read them as they came out
Oh,
because
wow. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I read them as they came out because I really liked the Empire series,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
didn't continue. I got a bit frustrated at some point with the series, with the
Uh-huh.
writing, and
Uh-huh.
I found that, yeah, I'm not willing to go ahead just yet. And I was waiting for more books to come out. And
Uh-huh.
I actually had a break of 10 years of reading fantasy. I stopped,
Oh.
I overdosed
Oh,
on
wow.
fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did. I read way too much and I thought I can't read anymore. And I stopped reading almost.
Oh,
I was
wow.
only
Okay.
reading a little bit. And that was probably when I stopped reading Jenny Warts' series. But
Okay.
yeah, so you're up to book 7. You're close to the end.
We're getting there. There's 11 of them, but yeah. It's interesting
Mm,
you were talking about how the lack of female characters. You look at a writer like Le Guin, Ursula Le Guin, who
mm.
wrote A Wizard of Earthsea. That's a very male book. And even a woman author back then in the late 60s felt almost compelled to write a very male-oriented book. But later
Yes.
in the Ursi books, she really started to deliberately, you can see it, where she expanded and actually explored the female consciousness and
Mm.
the role of women in that world. And almost you can see her kind of not revising, but expanding that
Changing.
world, changing that world in a sense. Yeah. I don't know if you've read the Ursi books or not, but
I've read 3.
okay.
I
Okay.
just read the third one.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you're right. They're mainly male dominated.
Yeah. In the
But
first. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been reading her afterwards as well, where
Ah, okay.
she goes into how she has come up with the idea for the Earthsea books and how she was influenced by certain things at the time. So
Yeah.
I imagine that with time, she will also change as a writer, and what she includes or excludes will change.
Yeah.
It's also because it was fantasy. Back in the 70s, she was writing this, I think, if that's accurate. I don't think fantasy appealed so much to women or
Mm,
female readers.
mm,
It was really geared towards a male audience, particularly a young male audience. So I wonder if that is a reason why she may not have had strong female protagonists, because it wasn't popular back then. There
yeah.
were very few, whether it was in books, whether it was in film or TV, there were very, very few
Yeah.
strong female protagonists in media. That's changed,
Mm.
but not back then. Yeah. All the women would be screaming hysterically and wanting men to rescue them. That's how a lot of women were portrayed at that point. But
Yeah.
things change, society changes.
Well, a good example is Malazan. You have
Ah,
loads of great female characters in
yes,
there.
yeah,
Loads of
I
them.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
I
time for
love.
us to talk about Malazan?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I can talk about Malazan, and I'm sorry, I call it Malazan,
that's
and I have
fine.
from the
Yeah.
beginning, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've read nine,
So you are
nine.
on the crippled god is next. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to finish it when I would have liked because of personal circumstances, but I would have finished it otherwise. And in fact, I'm starting it next after this, what I'm
Okay.
currently reading. Yeah, I've been so looking forward to the final book because it's the final book in this 10 book series.
Yeah.
And this one really surprised me. I was not expecting to love it as much as I do.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to topple my favorites, and I know it is.
Oh wow. Well,
And I
the
haven't
crippled god
finished
is
yet.
the crippled god, the 10th book is my favorite book of all time. It is
Really?
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. It is.
Yeah.
It is my favorite. You have to, if you force me to say what's your favorite book of all time, it's The Crippled God. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that says a lot. I mean, and
Yeah.
considering it's a final book in a series, that says a lot
Hmm.
about this series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak on the final book, obviously, because I haven't read it yet. But as a series, I think this is going to become my favorite. And
Yeah.
I'm almost, that's hard because I've had two equal favorites for many years. And I
And
don't know if it's recency bias, but I
hmm.
think Malazan is going to become my favorite.
What are the other two?
Wheel of Time
Okay.
and The Dark Tower by
Oh yeah,
Stephen.
Dark Tower. I love Dark Tower. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm rereading it at the moment. I'm doing a read along on my channel of the series.
Fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I've read it before, and we're on book five.
You're a King reader. Unlike me, I actually, and I don't know if you're one of those King readers who think, oh, you have to read this, that before you can read Dark Tower. It's always, I just said, no, I just want to read Dark Tower. So I read
You
Dark
don't
Tower
have
and I didn't
don't
get,
have to.
yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
No, you seriously do not have to read anything else but The Dark Tower.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you wanted a bit more, King has a way of laying Easter eggs throughout all
Yeah.
his books. They're very connected,
Yeah.
and only connected in the sense that when you read one, you think, oh, hang on, these
Mm.
characters I read in this book, etc. And because I am a King fan, I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Yeah.
I had read all the books as they were published from the 80s. I was reading them as they came out. So I would see all these Easter eggs, but they're not necessary to
Uh-huh.
enjoy The Dark Tower. It stands on its own.
Yeah.
But if you like his books, then yes, read The Stand, read Salem's Lot, especially Salem's Lot
Yeah.
before certain of the books, but it's not necessary to appreciate and enjoy that story.
Yeah. For
I think
Wolves
it
to
has the
Follow.
best ending I've ever read
Yeah.
in any series,
Wow.
The Dark Tower, personally.
I
But
love
that's
the last book is my favorite. followed closely by probably Wizard and Glass, if I'm being honest. I actually loved Wizard and Glass because of how it
Yeah.
made me love Roland. Before Wizard and Glass, Roland was simply an iconic but remote character. But Wizard and Glass
Mm,
made me actually love that character as well. So if you know what I mean. So
I do.
yeah.
I just finished Wizard and Glass. I just a couple of days ago, rereading it though.
Yeah, yeah.
I, it's not my favorite.
Not your favorite. Okay. Yeah.
No, no. I love the Gunslinger, which I
Oh,
think
that's
is a
great too.
minority
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I always saw him, you're right, as a very remote character.
Uh-huh.
But also there were hints of heroism and honor that
Yeah.
I saw up to then. I just found that with Wizard and Glass, I wanted to get back to our quartet,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the old quartet. That was, yeah, that's my biggest complaint about, well, not complaint, just something I didn't like about the book.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
that was always one of my favorite series. That one and Wheel of Time, I could never decide, and they're so different to each other.
They really
And
are.
it's probably why I like them so much. But
Huh.
Malazan has
For me, I
overshadowed.
think one thing that Malazan has in common with Dark Tower is that both Stephen Erickson and Stephen King just go for it. Like you cannot find authors who just swing for the fences the way those two and they go for the bizarre and the weird and the you know what I mean? I think
Unpredictable.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I
They
think
don't go the safe route.
no, no,
Yeah.
neither one does. And they're very different in other respects as writers, but in that one respect, I think they're very similar. But yeah.
They're also both very imaginative. That's
Hmm.
something they share
Yeah,
because Stephen King is also very imaginative. And I
sure.
think the same could be said with Erickson because you
Yeah.
look at this world. I have not read anything like the Malazan world. It is so different. Nothing even comes close to it. Now, perhaps there is things out there that I haven't read yet, but when I started it after I don't know how many series I've read in fantasy,
Huh.
I was just blown away by how different it was to anything else.
Uh-huh.
From the
Yeah.
first book, I just thought, I
Deliberately
don't remember
so.
anything like this.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
Because
there's
both
nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Oh
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with being deliberately different,
Yeah.
not wanting to do what everyone else has done.
Yeah. Some of it I think is deliberate subversion, but also I think just Erickson is pulling from other genres. Like he's doing
Yes.
stuff that may be common in other genres or in literature in general, but not common in fantasy. And if you're an avid fantasy fan and you're not familiar with those other genres, it might feel like, what is going on here? Where's my group of heroes I'm rooting for here? We're all over the place here in Malazan, and that can throw people, I think. But if you can shake those expectations and go along for the ride, it become one of the most tremendous journeys. And it sounds like it has been for you. Yeah.
It's been incredible. I don't remember a series that has really just affected me. And it has affected me emotionally. I can be a very emotional reader. I'm not the
Sure.
type who will sit there crying over characters. And yet there are so many very impactful scenes
Mhm.
or tragic scenes in the series, as well as some great moments of true heroism, of true courage that are uplifting and inspiring. And I think it's that range that you go from one extreme to another
Yeah.
that makes this series really special.
Yeah.
That it's able to elicit all those emotions in me as I'm reading, that he's able to cover that whole spectrum,
Yeah.
that human experience, which is a spectrum. We're not one or the other, we're everything in between as well. And it's also his writing.
Hmm.
He is, in my opinion, one of the best fantasy writers,
Oh yeah.
in that his writing is so lyrical and beautiful. And
Yeah.
I can reread a passage because it's just so beautifully written.
Hmm.
And I'm not used to that in fantasy, I must admit.
Yeah.
I expected in, say, a classic or certain other genres,
Yep.
you expect more straightforward language in fantasy. And that may be something else that trips people up, is
Uh-huh.
that it's not straightforward like other books are or other series. And it can feel more convoluted than people might be used to. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
definitely
goodness.
worth
It
it.
certainly
Yeah.
is. And I feel like you, it's for me an incredibly emotional journey, and there's loss and suffering and all of that, of course, all kinds of trauma. But the moments in Malazan that I think got me in tears more often than others are the moments of connection and the moments of reunion and the moments of joy. They're what really usually when I think about the moments that really get me emotionally, it's those, the more positive ones. And it's something that I think that people don't talk about enough when they talk about Malazan is yes, of course, there's tons of horrible things and loss and slaughter, and all of that. But there's also just a lot of beauty in this series. There's transcendence in this series. And that
Mm,
is why I love it's sublime. It really is sublime. Like I get to the end of the Crippled God and I feel a sense of sublimity
mm,
that just doesn't happen when you read, it happens for me with a very few series that are my absolute favorites. But for Malazan, my goodness, yeah, that sublimity is just there. So that's why I love it.
yeah. Well, actually, that's a very good point. You tend to or see a lot of people focusing on the negative and all the tragedy that
Yeah.
is Malazan, but one of my favorite aspects of the books is the friendships, all these
Yes.
very unlikely friendships between disparate people. You think they are they are finding something in common,
Hmm.
and it gives you hope, not just for the book or the characters in the book, but just in the world in general. We are so different,
Yeah.
and we always emphasize our differences
Right.
rather than what we do share in common.
Yep.
And I think seeing these very different people forming these strong friendships gives me hope that we can do that in
Yeah.
reality as well, not just in fantastical settings.
Sure. Just look at you
But
and me. You don't like Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings. I do,
oh my God,
but
yes.
we're still
You do
friends.
like, and you do like talking and,
Yeah.
you know, Rob and Hob, and we're still friends.
We're still friends.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
found some things that we do like in common, though. So yeah, yeah,
But it's also those differences between us, and
yeah.
not just us, but anyone,
Keeps it
that
interesting.
makes it interesting, because
Yeah,
then we can discuss these things and
yeah,
you can convince me why I should love Tolkien or
yeah.
Robin Hobb, and I can try to convince you why that's never going to happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. No, I think you've really, even without having finished Malazan, you've reached a really great understanding of that series. Do you intend to read the other Malazan series when you
Yes,
finish the
yes.
Malazan Book of the Fallen? Okay.
Everything. I am obsessed,
Aha.
no doubts. I
Yeah.
have already read Night of Knives.
Oh, good. What did you think? Yeah.
I liked it
Okay.
very much.
Good.
I thought it was in many ways similar in style to Erickson, and I thought he
Uh-huh.
wrote it after, but I think Esselmont wrote that first. I'm not sure. But I was
Yeah.
intrigued enough that I want to read all the rest. And I've been buying the books whenever I find them on special. And yeah, I'm intending to read that series, but I might take a bit of a break. Once I finish The Cripple Guard, I think I will take a little bit of a rest and then read it. But yeah, I'm intending to read everything that's been written by Esselmont and
Yep.
Erickson.
So
I'm obsessed with this
Janice,
world.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And then there's, of course, the sequel series that is ongoing, and we're going to see the next book, and that's the Witness series. Uh,
God is not willing. Is that
God
the
is Not
first one?
Willing is the first one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
No Life Forsaken, I believe, is the book that's coming out in like late October, I think.
I've got them in my wish list. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm buying it. Don't worry. Anything Erickson writes, I will buy. I even bought his Willful Betty series because
yeah.
I want
Okay.
to read that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rare to find an author, especially as you get older and you've read a lot of other authors or series.
Yep.
It's not often you come across a new author to you
Yeah.
that you fall madly in love with.
Yeah.
And I tend to fall madly in love with a particular author, and then I want to read everything they wrote. And that's how I feel about Stephen Erickson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to read everything he's written, especially in this world that it's just, I don't want to call it, it sounds melodramatic to say it changes your life,
Uh,
but it's changed my perception of
yeah.
certain things.
Sure.
And one of them is what I like in fantasy today is not what I liked in fantasy back in the 90s.
Yeah.
My tastes have changed. I like richer, original, different, imaginative stories that deal with both the absolute worst of humanity as well as the best. That's
Yeah.
what I want. I want that range
Yeah.
rather than just, everyone is hunky dory and everyone is really sweet and kind. No, no, I want depth. I want depth in the characters in particular. I need to see both the negative and the positive because that is who we are. We're all nuanced. We're not one or the other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Life.
if you,
That is life. Yeah.
it's life. Yeah, yeah. It's been one of the best series I've read in many years. And yeah, I hate to say it's going to topple some of my favorites, but
Yeah.
if the crippled god lives up to expectations, I expect it will. Yeah.
I went through something similar because I had Tolkien was the peak for me, and I for my entire since I was 12 and read Lord of the Rings and was so moved by it and went through till my late 40s, my even early 50s. How I can't remember how old I was when I finished Malazan my second time and did all the other series, and I had these discussions with AP Canavan and
Mm,
all of that. And at the end of it all, I had to say, you know what? I think it's unseated Tolkien. I never thought that was going to happen.
yeah.
But it has. And for me, it was the way I put it was that Tolkien baptized my imagination, but Erickson set it free. And
Mm,
that was
mm,
the way I felt anyway. And yeah, so and to me, as dear as Tolkien's stories are, they are very much part of the past that has formed where we are now. Whereas I feel like what Malazan is doing is pointing the way toward possibility in the future more. Like where can we go with this genre? You know, what is within the realm of possibility? That's one thing that Malazan did for me. When I say it freed my
mm.
imagination, I mean it. Like I didn't realize, oh, you can do this in fantasy?
Can
Wow.
do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dinosaurs with swords for arms, for heaven's
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah.
I mean, just the imagination and realizing you can do anything in fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really can. And there's no limits. There shouldn't be. It's fantasy. Why should there be limits?
Right.
Why are we conforming to these very strict conventions? Why can't we go beyond that? It's not for everyone. This series won't appeal to some people. My brother is not loving it.
Oh,
I think it's the first series I've given him that he hasn't liked. And, or he's not hating it, he's just not, he has not fallen in love with it. And he's
uh-huh.
up to book 4.
Okay.
But I think it depends what you like in your reading, and it depends on the time of life that you read them as well. It also depends on, I guess, Do you like a puzzle? Because these are not books that spoon feed you. These are books that you have to try to work out as you read them.
You have to be more
And
active as a Malazan reader, I think. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and I love puzzles. I love mysteries. So for me, this was perfect.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the first book that convinced me. I really loved Gardens of the Moon, but that wasn't when I decided this series is for me. It
Hmm.
was Dead House Gates.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
finished Dead House Gates and I was a mess. And I was so emotional and affected for months. And
Yeah.
I thought, I can't recall a book doing that to me. And
Mm.
that's when I realized I've got to read all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
one of my favorite books ever that I've read, I think. But I've only read it once. And sometimes you are so emotional when you read certain things that
Mm.
I wonder if it will stand up on a reread. Because I'm going to reread Malazan at some point.
Well, from my experience, the reread, if I loved it the first time, the reread, I just magnified it so
Mm.
much. I think one thing if I could have done differently the first time, I kept going to the character lists and the maps, and I wanted to
Yes.
master this, right? And I didn't just go along for the ride, which I think is the better approach. But that's who I was at the time. The second time, I didn't have to worry as much because I was already, I'd gone through it and I've relaxed a little bit, and it was even more emotional the second time for me. And
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Even knowing what's going to happen.
Even knowing what's going to happen, it was 10 times more emotional the second time. Even though it was
Maybe because
plenty the first, plenty. I knew it was coming and I still
yeah,
lost it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Oh wow. Okay, that says a lot, doesn't it? The
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that you can be even more emotional on a second read.
Yeah. I feel like this
Yeah.
series will reward many rereads, actually. Yeah.
I can already see it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm this is my first read through,
Yeah.
and I've been recording videos on each book. Part of me wishes I wasn't so that I could just experience it without having to worry about making videos. But that's what a reread will allow me to do is to
Sure.
just read it and enjoy it
Yeah.
without worrying about having to make videos or
Yeah.
discuss the books. But even so, on a first read through, this is such an impactful series. It's had such an emotional impact on me,
Yeah.
as well as given me so much joy, which sounds funny talking about Malazan, where most people think it's so tragic, but there are some beautiful moments in this,
Yeah.
some wondrous moments, and some tragic moments, of course, but that's life as well.
Mhm.
It's both joy and sadness. So, yeah, it's I've been holding off, and I'm ready now for the final book. And yeah, as soon as I finish what I'm reading, yeah, that's going to be next week. Yeah,
Okay.
next week.
Wow.
So,
Well, then we will be looking forward to that very much. And I will have a link in the description to your channel, to Nerdy Kathy, so that people can follow along as you're finishing up Malazan and see what happens. I'm keen to find out what you make of the Crippled God.
mm,
Let us
I'm
see.
keen to
Yeah,
find out what I think. I
yeah,
just can't see how he's going to wrap it up. And, I do imagine or speculate about how the books are going to go. So I haven't been able to figure out how he's quite going to wrap this up. And
there will be things, puzzle pieces, because you like puzzles. There will be
mm,
puzzle pieces that will fall into place, and you will probably realize, oh, it will reconfigure so much of what you've already read.
ah,
It'll be a wonderful
yeah,
experience, I'm sure.
can't wait.
The
Mm.
puzzle pieces falling into place, and the tears falling as well, and it is the Malazan Book of the Fallen. So yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
still don't know what the title fully means. I'm
No, you
hoping that'll
don't.
be
No, you don't.
explained.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won't know until you get to the very end. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure of it.
which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. Yeah.
It
So,
is cool.
well. I wish you so much joy and fulfillment all the trauma and everything else as you're reading The Crippled God.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
No, honestly, they're the best kinds of books. I
Yeah.
don't care what anyone says. Don't give me wishy-washy. Give
Uh-huh.
me something that tears my hair heart out
Yeah.
or makes me laugh out loud because I don't usually do either when I'm reading. I can do it with films, but with books, it takes a lot to make me very emotional, where I'm either crying or laughing. And that says to me that there's something special.
Yeah.
And nothing has done it like this series so far. And I'm not done yet. So,
Oh, wow. Same
yeah.
here. Yeah. So,
Mm.
well, thank you so much for giving me your time, Kathy. I've really enjoyed this
Thank you.
conversation. And
Thank you. I'm very grateful and very honored that you asked me. And this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I could talk for another hour and a half easily.
yeah, well, I could too, but I will be respectful of your time. And but this won't be our last conversation. Perhaps once you finished Malazan, we could get together again.
Love to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good,
Talk
good, good.
about it once the series. I haven't watched your videos, yours and AP Canavans,
Uh,
because I didn't want to be influenced by anything I've watched. I've stayed away from all content
sure.
until I finish. Once I finish, then I'm like, okay, now I can watch and see what I missed and what
Uh,
other people suggest I consider. But
yeah,
yeah, I've been trying to be as free of all influence as possible as I've been reading the books. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
But I'm looking forward to it,
when you
to
do watch those,
talking.
beware of my nemesis, Professor Fireballs.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I am well aware of the Critical Dragons
Yeah,
channel as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
good.
So,
I mean, those fireballs are incredibly illuminating, I have to confess. He does bring in the insights, so in a very good way. So yeah, well, wonderful. Once again, though, your channel will be linked in the description. Everybody head over to Nerdy Kathy, especially if you're eager to see how the crippled god goes down. But I'm sure you'll be doing all kinds of other reads and things. You'll be
yes.
talking about as well on your channel. Dungeon Crawler Carl, whatever else
Yeah,
you
I think I might have to do a video. I've been asked to do a video on it, so I might. And
okay.
I'm talking about the Dark Tower, and there's always different things. And I also read a lot of other genres. I don't just read fantasy. So,
Yeah.
I like to mix it up. But yeah, but thank you so much
All
for
right.
having
Well,
me. I really do appreciate it, Philip.
oh, it's been my pleasure and my honor for sure. But that is it
Amen.
for us for now. Until next time, everybody.